Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. And today we're out driving the 2021 Genesis GV80. This has been an interesting car to review. I was very excited for it to show up to the door. It looks beautiful here in this plum type of color. It's kind of a dark purple. I really like that. Very luxurious looking. And the entire appearance of the GV80 is very striking. I really like what Genesis has been doing with their appearance packages. The new GV80, the GV70, the G80, the G90. Now the only car that all of a sudden looks dated is the G70. So it was great to get this car in. It's been very hyped up in the automotive media. After driving it for a week, it's interesting that the veneer has come off a little bit. And it's a very good car. It's a very good value play from Genesis. But it is not the best car in this class. Anyone who gets behind the wheel of a GV80 will be very impressed by the materials, the interior design, the exterior design. Everything is very futuristic, forward-looking. It's certainly a car that looks the part of 2020. But that doesn't mean that they nailed everything out of the park and really exceeded their rivals in creating a luxurious SUV. If you've driven a Genesis vehicle before, you know they certainly place an emphasis on comfort. However, this vehicle doesn't feel quite as comfortable and floaty and almost marshmallow-like as a flagship G90 or even a G80 sedan. There's a surprising amount of road imperfection that gets transmitted in through the wheel and through the seats. These little cracks in the asphalt, I'm feeling them all. They're coming through. It certainly doesn't feel luxurious. On the flip side of that, what Genesis does really well is large bump satisfaction. Anything that comes through really big, any big road whoops, Genesis does a really good job at quelling and keeping the rebound very minimalized with those bumps. You'll see up here, we'll come over a big road swell, and there will be kind of one big lift, and then it'll smooth the ride right out. Let's see. There we go. And that's something that GV80 does much better than some of its competitors. So let's pull over here, take a look at the car. First of all, looking around this interior, you can see there's a lot of new stuff going on. You've got this very interesting rotary dial right here for the infotainment display. Fortunately, the infotainment is also touch capacitive. I will say this is a decent system, but it's not quite as good as what Genesis had before and what some other luxury brands have, where it's a knob. And the reason for that is, it took me a few days to figure out how to enunciate my frustration with it. But when you're using this, you can use kind of your fingers to rotate around, but then in order to select, you have to push down on the center knob. So it requires two different aspects of motion. You have to use some fingers, maybe even just one finger, to scroll around. Say I want to go to setup, then I have to move that finger in order to select. Whereas if this were just one big knob, like Genesis has used before, you can turn and then push down on the whole thing, select without moving your hand. I know it sounds pedantic and subtle, but it makes a difference when you're driving around and you're doing other things. You just need to select something quickly. It slows down the use of the system. Other than that, everything's super well straightforward and laid out and responsive. If you want to see more on this system, check the link in the description for our in-depth infotainment and lexicon sound system review. We go through Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, how the system works, inputs, and quality of the radio. This shifter is really nice. I like the quality material they used. I think it's very important when brands use good feeling materials for things you touch regularly, and the shifter is something you use every time you drive. So I'm glad that it's easy to use. Just rotate around, you got your button right here. It feels nice, good to use. Something you also touch every time you drive that's not quite as great is the steering wheel. I appreciate the general design. I don't mind the two-spoke. What I do mind is how thick these two spokes are. And when you want to drive at 9 and 3, say you just want to rest one hand on the wheel here, you can't wrap everything around. It's this very big chunk. You have to either go up or down. It's not quite as comfortable as other wheels. My favorite steering wheel also comes from the Hyundai, Genesis, Kia family, and it's the 4-spoke that has some wood grain right here. You can kind of rest your fingers here, or in the middle, up top, down below. They've got it all. Other than that, very well designed cabin. You've got your wireless device charger, 2 USB ports, some decent cup holders right there, mid-size center console. Everything feels nice, not quite as premium feeling as something from Mercedes or BMW. The leather doesn't feel quite as good. However, this isn't the top level prestige trim. It's the advanced. And because of that, apparently the prestige has a little bit nicer leather. But Genesis materials have always been very good and solid, but not quite the same level as the top competition in the luxury class. You also have a little center storage compartment under here, kind of pass through, and that's nice. Some good ambient lighting as well. Nice big panoramic sunroof. Overall, very quality materials. Stepping outside, you get to see where the Genesis really wows, and that is the exterior appearance. Now, we fully recognize that the gaudy looks might not be for everyone. For some people, the big chrome bling bling grille, a little too much, all the chrome accents on the side. But I think they really did a really good job with the proportions. I really like the headlights and taillights. I like the lettering. I think everything looks great. The one thing I will point out that is kind of weird, it's almost as if the Genesis designer said, do we want it to say all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive? And their manager answered, yes. I don't know if that's supposed to be an A or a 4. It's probably an A, but a little goofy. Also, the font is different between this GV80, this Genesis, and then this four-wheel drive. I wish it would have been consistent. A few cool features on the key I should show here. Let's turn off the vehicle. You do have Hyundai's Smart Park feature. So you can remote start the vehicle with the key and then press this forward button. The car comes on, engages the gear, and, whoa, typically drives itself forward. I don't know why it just stopped. It seems to be freaking out. You can see it jumped there for a second. There we are. Comes on forward, so say you wanted to pull into a parking spot that was really tight. I can't see too many practical uses of it, but it's kind of fun to show people, and it will stop if it senses something walking in front of it. And it works for backward as well. Taking a look in the back seat, plenty of room. In the rear, you've got heated seats, rear zone climate control, sunshades, nice handles. Would be nice to have this leather wrapped. Same with up there. You've got USB-A, 2 USB-A's actually, and a 115 volt wall style outlet. Little center armrest, no sort of storage, but you do have some pop out cup holders. Fine enough. Some nice hard back seat pockets. Other than that, pretty straightforward rear. Seats do recline, got a good amount of recline to them, and they also fold down. Now, this is only the 2-row model. So you can press these, seats fold down manually, and you've got your rear pass-through. Really hard to get the seats back up. You got to put a lot of arm into it. In the back, no big surprises. It's a trunk. There's no sort of air suspension here, so you can't lower it down. But you do have a spare tire under there and some rear cargo compartment. Got your manual. No sort of grocery bag hooks, so that would be, well, I guess these are kind of grocery bag hooks, so you could use those, maybe tie downs. You can fold the rear seats from here. 12 volt outlet, some speakers, and this nifty net. So getting back behind the wheel, I do appreciate that Genesis didn't try to turn this into a sportsmobile. I don't like how a lot of luxury brands have been trying to add a performance element to their cars, and in result, deteriorating the luxury driving aspect. But I don't get the same level of luxury feel in this car as I do with some of the Genesis sedans. What may have exacerbated this issue is having the BMW X5 40i at the same time as this vehicle, and being able to drive them back to back, and realizing that there are some of those luxury elements that BMW manages to just do better at. Now, full disclosure, this GV80 costs a lot less than the X5 we had, about $20,000 less. Base prices for both vehicles are about $10,000 different. So So really not necessarily that dramatic, especially when you're already talking $50,000. If you want to get all the options you want, you're spending more than that. I would hope that anybody who's seriously considering putting down money either for a lease or purchase on a luxury SUV has the funds that an extra $15,000 doesn't make or break the bank for them, and they can afford to get what they want. If you really have to penny pinch between these two vehicles, you probably shouldn't be buying a luxury car in the first place. You could get a Kia Telluride that does everything this car does and is quite nice as well. Do I feel like the GV80 is $20,000 less good than the X5? Not necessarily, but I do feel that it's somewhat less good, so it's up to you to decide how much of that matters. Getting up to the highway here, we can flex the 3.5 liter turbo, 375 horse, 391 pound-feet of torque. Obviously plenty of power to get up to speed. You do have adaptive cruise control as well as a semi-autonomous driving mode in the GV80, but the semi-autonomous driving mode doesn't work as well as some of the competition. In fact, for somebody like Hyundai who's done semi-autonomous driving modes for a long time, I was surprised that steering isn't very confident and the lane change function does not work very well. It took us a long time to even figure out how to enable it properly. Other than that, highway noise is fine. It's fairly serene in here. Seat comfort's pretty good. We had a few hours in the saddle at a time throughout this week. Never really got uncomfortable. There's not quite as much adjustment as you might get in some other luxury vehicles, but still pretty good. The steering's decently light, but still quite numb. Not a very satisfactory steering experience. You can have light steering with still a good amount of feedback. The GV80 doesn't really possess that quality. I do really appreciate the head-up display. I think it looks good, well functional. The steering wheel itself, very easy to use. A little simple from the center gauge display. You really only have a few menus and a small bit of information. Kind of your standard drive readouts, not nearly as advanced as some of the mapping systems that you see from other makers, but you do have this very nifty blind spot camera, so you can see anytime I turn the blinker on, the RPM gauge goes away, and I get to see what's in my blind spot. I think that's a very nifty execution, and I'd like to see that on more brands. This big, beautiful, bright screen has this nice kind of screensaver mode, if you will, kind of like a main display. However, both Chris at the Topher and I noticed that it's too bright. Sometimes you'll be driving along and it'll default from this screen on over here, and it's jarring. Even when it's bright outside, that's a lot of bright white light heading into your eyes, and it's not super comfortable on them. So I typically find myself either switching back over to this display, maybe bringing up the map, or hitting menu and just turning the display right off, getting that nice black clock and date. So what I really think the GV80 gets right is the wow factor. I think a lot of people are going to be impressed by the exterior looks, the interior looks, the value of the vehicle. But other than being a bargain, there's nothing the GV80 does better than its class counterparts. It's not faster, it's not more luxurious, it's not more feature-laden. Arguably, it might be the best looking. I might give it that, although looks are a tad subjective. Other than the fact that you can get it for a much lower price, I would take a BMW X5 or a Porsche Cayenne. I do think, unless you're married to the Mercedes brand, I would take this over a GLE. I'm not a huge fan of the GLE class. And Audi's kind of give or take as well. The Q7 does look quite good. The Q8 looks even better. So I could see that being up there as a contender as well. And you've even got the new Acura MDX. That's supposed to be really good coming out here soon. So while the GV80 is a really great job by Genesis, it's not the class smasher that some people claim it to be. Another thing that's been surprisingly frustrating is the fuel economy. It's abysmal. In the BMW X5 driving around, I got 28 miles per gallon on the highway. This only got 22. And I've been averaging in the teens in fuel economy in this car, whereas the BMW gets into the 20s no problem. So definitely an awesome first SUV from Genesis, but it's not my favorite Genesis product, nor is it my favorite mid-sized luxury SUV. One thing that's pretty neat, that's not a class exclusive, but still works well is the backup camera. It's good resolution. Got the 360 view, and you can click here, kind of do this goofy superimposed 360 kind of like AR version. You can back your GV80 or drive it in wherever you need it to go. Interesting stuff, that's for sure. So thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think about Genesis's first SUV. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.